Okay. All right. What's going on, world? It's your boy at Big Game James _30. Uh, Going back. What's going on, world? It's your boy at Big Game James _36 with Sheena Quick at Sheena _Marie 3 if you're on any of your social media platforms. And we're coming today with a hot new podcast concept called Quick James. It's Quick James, bitch. So play on the words. It's coming to you quick with the personality of James. Whole bunch of different things that we could do, variations as we continue to work in this growing sports and entertainment landscape that has constant variables and fun things. If you saw social media during the Super Bowl, you saw us link up, saw us go to different front row and red carpet events. You saw coverage that most people didn't have. But what we're gonna, as we're doing, is teaming up, try to use different platforms to be able to give you unique media and unique access that you can only get from the likes of us and from the perspective of the minority. Yeah. So the cool thing is there's two former athletes that are actually also doing it. So it's multiple different venues and multiple different personalities. So a lot of people who will probably be seeing this on my platform and a lot of people seeing it on your platform have no idea who I am and they have no idea who you are. So Sheena, why don't you tell us about who you are?
So I am a former college track athlete. I met James when we were both student athletes at Florida State. I've been in sports journalism for I just finished my fifth season with the Panthers, and yeah, I love it. I love the places it's taken me. I love the growth. I love talking about sports, so it never feels like work, and it's always a good time when I can link up with James because now the people that follow James, y'all know he is a Pandora's box. You never really know what you're going to get. So it's exciting and scary at the same time. It's actually thrilling. That's the better word for it. But like as James said earlier, I do cover NASCAR, mostly NFL. That's like my favorite, but NCAA stuff. But I mainly focus on the Carolina Panthers until the postseason. And at that point, I do league-wide stuff like Pro Bowl, scouting combines, draft, and like last week, the Super Bowl.
Right.
So yeah.
So that's cool. She's been to London. She's been to cover the Panthers. People know she was there. And if you listen to the Sports Den, I think the first time we had her on the Sports Den was to actually give us some light on the Cam Newton controversy where he was sexist or whatever it was. When
Oh
the
yeah,
girl
I
said
forgot
something
about
that I
that.
have, yeah, I would never forget it because it's not just about, it wasn't about her saying something that was so idiotic and that it happened to be a woman. If people know me, I roast male journalists all the time because most of them have never played anything past Pop Warner, if Pop Warner. But
Right.
up until that point, and to this day, I have still never heard anybody use the phrase
Physicality.
physicality in running routes. Yeah,
Well,
I've heard
listen,
physicality,
give
but
my
never heard
girl,
physicality in running
give my girl
routes.
Jordan some credit, man. Jordan is a phenomenal journalist. It was unfortunate that she kind of got mired in that whole controversy, but she since has gone on. She just finished her first season with the Rams out in Los Angeles, and they love her. They love her out there.
Wow. Well, the cool thing is that we all got to get reps. We all make mistakes. I just think
Yeah.
that there are actually, that's something we didn't put on. But I saw you talk about that in KC, so I'm gonna come back with KC Radio. I'm gonna come back to that. There is real racism in sports journalism
Oh,
or in
for
sports in
sure.
general, and then there is real sexism. Like really, there's real things that you have to deal with. I just think when things get blown out of proportion, it kind of negates and belittles the
It
real
does, and
issues
that's
and the
not,
real things that we all
yeah,
have to
it
deal with.
does. It kind of makes it trivializes a serious problem is what it does. It trivializes a serious problem, but yeah, both
So,
parties seem to have moved on from that.
it, oh yeah, I mean, all you got to do is win, and then things get better. Like again, the only thing that's more American than apple pie is winning. So who am I? I'm James Coleman. Played at Florida State. Got some coffee and beignets in New Orleans in 2006 before they sent me on home. I have a great story to tell about Drew Brees and thinking he's an athletic trainer that I've said numerous times on my radio show and probably helped moved me out a lot faster than I probably should have been moved out. Was a sports performance trainer for 15 years up until recently. Actually, I had a COVID retirement plan before everybody else had a COVID plan. I got out of the gym business December of 2019 and
Wow.
thinking that I was going to be the person that was just going to be lazy and travel and be semi-retired, and then boom, the whole country shut down and everybody was here. Kind of actually flipped
Everybody
my
was at
whole
home.
home life upside down. So now I got my boys running around. So you gotta forgive me as we get these reps and we get this practice. I'm trying not to choke out my oldest son as he's playing Fortnite with his god brothers and having a great time. And I don't know if that even gets picked up on my microphone, but so if you hear another voice, just understand he's an excited kid and on a rainy day here in Florida, living his best life. But I got into sports media with radio about 6 years ago. Actually, it was the first show I did was the Saturday of the college football, or the first ever college football playoff game, where Florida State was playing the University of Oregon, and my show was one day a week, and I was talking cash money, just like we're gonna whoop that ass. Oregon's got a 0 on their helmet for a reason. We got James, we got Dalvin, blah blah blah. It did end well. Came back the next week, and we went from a 1 day a week radio to a 5 day a week radio show that gets there's been talks of trying to get it syndicated, man. That's branched into me doing writing, which branched into me having the fifth quarter football network, where actually covers everything. Covers football, basketball. We have people who said they want to do NASCAR. It's really a training ground for young journalists. So if you're a young journalist and you're trying to get in, I'm not gonna do like some other outlets. I'm not gonna promise you the world, but I am gonna promise you an opportunity to get some reps. And if you're good enough, you can actually get paid, but you can see how you get paid. It's per click or sponsorship type stuff. So that's really where it comes in. Trying to do a lot of different things in media. And then one of the things that me and Sheena really connected on this, probably I wanted to say maybe 3 years ago, maybe a
Yeah.
little bit more, is when you branched out from BSO. You were doing a lot of different things. We talked about doing stuff, and then it really came together last February during the combine, and it was a dope event. And then we got a chance to do the Super Bowl this year again. I never say the first thing that's on my mind, but the problem is the fifth thing that's on my mind is probably as bad as most people's first thing on their mind. So it helps, and I think it could definitely be something good that could bring perspective, the biggest thing that I always want to do, tell people to do, is think. You don't have to agree with me. I don't need you to agree with me. I don't like being around a bunch of people who agree with me. But what I do want to be is around people who think, because when you think, we can all grow.
For sure. And it's so funny that you mentioned your boys. Aiden has walked into my room with gum in his hair. There's several bathrooms in this house. He decided to come to mommy's. So if you guys see me doing the
Yeah.
Asian, the kung fu mouth, and you can't hear anything, that's me muting myself and telling him to get out. But like you said, we're getting these reps in.
Facts.
But yeah, and that was the thing. That's one of the things. I mean, that's just one of many things that COVID kind of messed up. I was looking forward to the combine this year, because for the first time, Carolina was actually really in the market for a quarterback, and it wasn't sneaky, it wasn't behind the back. Like, everyone knows that they're looking for a quarterback. So I was interested in seeing how they approach this combine, considering this is the first combine they've gone into in over a decade, looking specifically for a quarterback.
Yeah, so it hasn't been a secret here at all. Like
Right.
Trevor Lawrence has been the guy since signing day of what was it, he's 3 years out. So signing day of 2018, 2017, whatever he came in. Ever since that signing day, he's been known that he was going to be the guy. So it's really been more about he wasn't going to throw at the combine, and it would have been more about guys like Ian Book, who again have a relationship with. So that would have been the cool part. I was coming into this combine with more pre-established relationships with cats, so we could have got more things out of stuff. But with Trevor Lawrence, what you would have seen is it would have been interesting to see what the interviews were going to be, what the medical was going to say, especially with him already reporting about the left labrum. what testing stuff he would have done. And bigger than that is knowing he's probably going to do less. What would that make Justin Fields do? And could Justin Fields actually steal and gain some ground, or Zach? I think it's Zach Wilson out of BYU, or Mac Jones out of Alabama. These are guys who the competition in the machismo and really wanted to be QB1, having to be that alpha male would have actually kind of raised the stakes and
Yeah.
possibly made this
Yeah.
an even more entertaining and even more fun type of thing. But you kind of got to take in that the combine will still be in Indy. I guess it's going to be a little bit later, or they're going to have the different spots that they fly
Yeah.
guys to do their medicals, but it's still not the same.
No,
And
it's not.
the other cool thing about Indy, much like how the Super Bowl was changed, is who you're gonna meet in the media center, and also being able to see the bench press. Like that actually is really cool. I
It
think we
actually was
both
really
got a lot of
cool.
views.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
actually was really cool. Like just seeing the guys hype each other up. I don't know how much I haven't watched the combine on TV in a really long time, so I don't know how much of that is visible to everyone at home. But just they seem to really develop some camaraderie in those few days that they're in Indy, because you're just literally football from sun up to sundown. You're getting poked and prodded, and you know, tested on everything intellectually, physically, and it's kind of a bonding time for the players as well, even though it's like a week, you know, but it's still bonding for the players, and you see how excited they get for each other when they're doing all these different tests and you know, measurements and things. So that's a really cool part of it. Of course the media members are going to miss the steakhouse, the infamous steakhouse, but I hope it comes back to Indy next year when COVID is hopefully gone. Like hopefully they'll go back, because I know a lot of things, a lot of changes they made this year for COVID are probably likely to stay. Media probably will not go into locker rooms anymore, because it's a controlled way to still make these guys engage in media participation after the games and throughout the weeks. The only drawback from that is the other guys in the locker room that aren't being, you know, put up on at the podium to do media. You know, those are the relationships that you build throughout the locker room with the one-offs where, you know, so and so just had a baby. How's your baby doing? You know, if we don't get to see that person that week, we might not see them for 2 or 3 weeks later on in the season. So it'll be interesting to see how that evolves. I think they're liking the virtual stuff though. I think they're liking the virtual stuff, but it definitely limits you in terms of availability for all the players. Like it might be somebody that had an awesome practice and we want to talk to him, but we don't get him. You know, the PR determines who's going to talk, as opposed to in the locker room, you just walk up to anybody and start, you know, your conversation.
yeah. There's some perks. I was explaining to people when they were asking me about what was the week like at the Super Bowl. There are perks to things that you got to do, like that, being able to have everything organized in one place, and I can go. If I have 3 devices, I can actually look at multiple podiums and try to scribble notes. And if I couldn't get to
Yeah.
them, they actually download those things and go back to them later. That is a benefit, but there's also something about being in the room and being around those guys, like you were saying, because you get those personal relationships, especially, and then you also that's so when people want to be an insider, because that's technically, I guess, what I'm more considered when it comes to the different teams that I cover, is more of an insider, especially on the college side with Florida State, Florida, Miami, Georgia, any of those schools, than a beat writer. I never want to really be a beat writer. The NFL, maybe more of a beat writer than or on the beat more than anything else. When you get those relationships with those guys that aren't always interviewed, and I still have that aspect with what my business partner does, Denny Thompson, 6 Points Quarterback Training Academy. Everybody goes there. That's
Yeah.
from the Jags because of the relationship that's been built. So I can still have those conversations on the side, but like you were saying, like you go talk to the guy who's the third string tight end, and he might be able to give you a little bit more information or at least context. Because a lot of times it's not about breaking salacious information, because they're all professionals, they're grown.
Right.
Somebody giving the running back, giving a running back $100 to go speak for the Panthers or the Jags ain't as big as somebody giving $100 to a college football running back. But they could tell you like truth, like for example, with the Jaguars right now, they could tell you true feelings about hiring Chris Doyle. How do you really feel about that with his background from Iowa and what actually happened?
Right.
There, and you really learn You know, do people care? Do not. And what I've learned from having been in the locker room, having talked to a bunch of guys who have played pro for years, or guys who are currently in it, it's the difference between being a professional at what you're doing and being an amateur trying to be a professional at what you're doing. I don't have to like you to do my job if
Right.
I'm getting
Yeah.
paid very well. What I have to do and what you have to do is respect me. And the minute that disrespect happens with a lot of testosterone flowing, wigs get split. So violence happens. So like that's why when people were and I 100% understand the the way the media is portraying and the upsetness about it. But I'm like, I can only imagine what's going to happen to Chris Doyle if he acted in. And I'm still waiting for the smoking gun because I haven't read anything where he said the N word. I haven't read anything where, but what I have read is inappropriate at worst. It's unprofessional, unbecoming. You do some of that stuff to some of these guys, and you're going to get hit. And these are grown men who aren't on the hook for a scholarship. And I think sometimes a lot of college coaches know that, which is also going to be interesting to see how Urban Meyer's transition is going to be, because you're no longer talking to 17 to 23-year-old boys that are looking for some guidance, that are looking for some shape, that want to achieve this dream. You're talking to some grown men who are already at that point in their career, and they already have an idea of what they want to do. So when you try to, you can't push too hard, because the harder you push, they're going to push back. And again, it's college alphas. It's a bunch of alpha males that are around with a little bit of betas sprinkled in there. But the NFL is the alphas of the alpha. So you got to be on point.
And that was one of my questions coming into this season with Matt Rule. You know, he had not been tested at the NFL level and they paid him handsomely. So my thing when he came in, I was like, okay, he's a great motivational speaker, but how far does that go with grown men? And so I actually think he did a pretty good job, though. I was impressed with what he did for his first season with all of the things that were going on. There was COVID. He didn't have a preseason. You got a quarterback controversy. You lose Christian McCaffrey immediately. I think that he had that team feeling like they could win. You know, a lot of people expected them to tank for Trevor, you know, but they didn't expect the team to be competitive. There were all those rookies. They had an all defensive draft, but it translated well from the college game to the pro game. I was surprised. I was pleasantly surprised. So I don't think that Urban Meyer have an issue in that regard. He might have some issues as far as, you know, getting the players to accept and getting them riled up, but he may have some issues with adjusting to kind of the unwritten rules. Like in college, he probably wouldn't have got that pushback for hiring him. In the NFL, you got to understand it's a whole different ball game. That resignation came so damn fast. I don't even think he was employed for 24 hours. Did he make it 24 hours?
About that.
Did he make 20? You said you're not shocked?
He made it 24 hours. He made it. I'm shocked that it actually did happen. Because here's the thing. Urban knew all of that stuff. They said they vetted him, so you already knew all of these allegations that happened. Urban just don't care.
He didn't care.
You can't name a place where Urban's gone. Yeah,
that he cared. Yeah, but this is different.
Yeah, you can't name a place he's gone. Yeah, you're right. You're right. But like Shad Khan hired him knowing what Urban Meyer's like. There's only again, I'm not capping. I don't really care enough because it doesn't affect my paycheck. What I'm saying is that this is the understanding and why I kind of wanted Urban Meyer and why a lot of people in Jacksonville wanted Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer is a single focused person on one goal and one thing, and that's winning. He doesn't care how he gets to it. He doesn't have to care who he has to rob, steal, kill. Like if you look at his teams at Florida, look at his teams at Ohio State, the guys he recruited, if you didn't break three or four Ten Commandments, he's not bringing you on board unless you're Jesus' nephew, like Tim Tebow. You got the Pouncey twins who are beating up people in clubs. You got Aaron Hernandez, who's killing people and fornicating with dudes every chance he gets. You got a dude who's still in the.
You believe the gay rumor?
I don't believe what the boy said in the movie on the documentary, but I do believe some of this stuff. I think it was something that was inside of him that he didn't have security about. But that's a topic for another day, because the one thing I found out about, I've played with people that have been rumored. Nobody cares. As long as you're not hitting on them, and as long as you're performing at a high level, don't ask, don't tell.
Right.
And just the same, nobody wants to know that you're sleeping with 40 women at a given time. It's just really, you're at that level, and nobody really cares about that. Like what you do
it's
on the
really
side, as
nobody's
long as it doesn't
business.
hinder what you do. That facts. But when you're murdering people, it's kind of nice to know if you're next to a murderer. Again, that's Urban Meyer
That's
thing.
definitely a character attribute that can't be
Percy
ignored.
Harvin, Percy Harvin punches a wide receiver coach, and they move the drill. Like, I mean, you gotta again. People are saying, Percy Harvin dropped Billy Gonzalez in the middle of practice, and all Urban did was move the drill up. Didn't do anything. Didn't reprimand Percy. He's like, you see what he just did to you. Why would I want him to do that to me? Just again, there was a control with the lawlessness, and because they were winning and they did what they needed to do. Urban, like people talk about Urban's health. There's nothing wrong with Urban Meyer. The only thing wrong with Urban Meyer and his health is that he's allergic to losing. So once he starts losing, his heart starts bothering him. His head starts hurting. So when he's hiring people, he's really not. You could have been Adolf Hitler's first nephew or something. But if you run a 4-3, he's gonna be like, they're gonna be like, well, he's anti-Semitic. He's this, but he runs 4-3. That's what Urban's gonna take. So in all of that, I'm not forgiving, not capping. I'm just saying Urban truly probably looked at all of this and said, I don't really care. But when I look at who he hired, and the only thing
he pretty much said that in the statement. He was like, "I've known him 20 years." Basically, that's what I'm going with. That's what he was going with. I've known him 20 years.
He's known it and he's accepted it. But when I look at guys, like what I said on radio yesterday, on Friday on the Sports Den, I said there is one guy that's on his staff, because somebody hinted that Urban hires a racist and doesn't hire any black people. I'm like, nah, his staff's got tons of those. But there's one black person that stands out above the rest, and that's Charlie Strong. That's been noted to be like one of the few position coaches that he's had that he actually really values and respects his word. So I said he'll be gone if Charlie says he's gone. But the whole, I don't want to be a distraction, blah, blah, blah. Now, he fell on the sword, and they felt the heat. I personally didn't think it was going to happen, especially knowing the owner that Shad Khan is, because Shad Khan is one of those owners who's impervious to boycott. So I have this saying, there's no such thing as cancel culture. People believe you can be fired, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're canceled. If you think of people, even let's think in our industry, people who are good at their jobs that you might not necessarily agree with their stances, like a Rush Limbaugh. Rush Limbaugh can put together a show. He says things that are very fiery and poke at you, but he's also making like 25. Yeah, he's also making like 25 million a year because
then you got Jason Whitlock.
What he does.
You have Jason Whitlock, who always pokes the bear. But
I fucking hate.
Listen, did you see the headline? Now he said they're messing with his money.
No, let's see. No, the problem is that it's over. That cycle's over, and he wasn't good enough at being used. Like I said, I'm neither conservative or liberal. I'm moderate, but I'm gonna tell you right now, if things don't really turn around, I don't make enough money, I'm gonna go come get some of that conservative money, because y'all pay people to say the most asinine things. Like all I gotta do is say black people need to do this, and y'all gonna write me a check. I can have, with a head full of hair, I can say black men with dreads are the bane of existence. And you know what? I'm gonna get $1 million to say that. Like, it's just the dumbest stuff. I'm like, how could you even believe those things?
Easy.
But
he don't even believe it. He just
like Jason Whitlock don't believe that stuff that he's saying. Like again, so bottom line is, if you're really, really good, like Jemele Hill is another example. Like people want to say Jemele Hill got fired from ESPN, but she didn't get canceled. Jemele Hill still can put out a corny ass tweet, and I'm going to see it like from a whole bunch of everybody opinions about it.
Yep.
So I say all that to say is, you can't cancel Shad Khan. It's impossible. And I don't mean just because of the NFL. What I mean is, to affect Shad Khan's money, you would literally have to get rid of your car. This man controls like 85% of the front bumpers that are made in the United States
Wow.
are made
I
by
did not
him.
know that. That's
So you
insane.
would have to go find the few cars that aren't made by him, that don't have a front bumper made by him, to affect his money. And it would take years for you to do that. And what these billionaires and what these NFL guys do, and this is why I always tell my friends, like, don't watch the games. Fine. Don't do that. Don't go to the games. The only people you're affecting if you don't go to the games is Miss Susan, who works tickets, and Miss Jeannie, who sells the hot dogs. They get employed by Safe or whatever, and they're just going to cut the Safe contract, and they're just going to fire people. These people play the long game. That's why they sign 10-year contracts. It's not up to them to sell Coke and McDonald's commercials. It's up to ESPN to sell Coke and McDonald's commercials, because ESPN is liable for the check anyway. And what these billionaires
Right.
do is when you breach contract, they sue you. So I mean, you go do that. So again, it's so much long game in that. That's why I was shocked. But like I said, I'm in there because I don't even know on the NFL level what a director of sports performance does. It seems like it was just a title to pay one of his homeboys, because he has a strength and conditioning coach. And as a guy who was a performance trainer, nobody listens to their strength and conditioning coach on the pro level besides rookies. Everybody
Right.
has a trainer that they go to. And so it's
Right.
really a redundant name and a redundant position. But anyways, I say all that to say is that it's just a lot of you, and I'm glad that you talked about Rule, because I always that was one of the hires that, like,
Everybody, it was a head
doesn't matter
scratcher for
how it doesn't
everybody.
bother me.
It was
Right.
the
So people
amount
talk
of
about
the
the Rooney
contract.
Rule,
It was
right? And he got what? He got 10. He got 10 or 9.
I want to say that made him like the third or fourth highest paid coach in the whole league. I don't specifically remember the numbers, but it was insane. Like, I mean, David Tepper pulled out the blank checkbook. And people were just like, why him? Like, of all the people that were available, he had no NFL experience as a head coach, like, or even as a coordinator in the NFL. Like, why him? But I think he did a good job with what he had here in Carolina. Like I said, you inherit a Cam Newton that is injured, that's coming off of injury. I think that he weathered that storm well when they let Cam go. A lot of the heat wasn't on him. The heat was on David Tepper and Marty Hurney. A lot of that heat wasn't on Matt Rule. And just second game into the season, you lose Christian McCaffrey. So everybody was like, oh, hell yeah, tank for Trevor. Then they rattle off and start winning a couple games. And he had that team feeling like they were going to be competitive. Like I tell people all the time, they were so pissed that the Panthers won against Washington at the end of the season. They're like, oh my God, you ruined the draft position. These guys are athletes. Like you can't, no one's going out there trying to lose on purpose. No, you can't tell them, hey, go out there and let them smack you around a little bit. There's a sense of pride that comes with being a professional athlete. And I thought that Matt Rule did a good job of navigating those waters. He extracted everything he could out of that squad. People were expecting them to win 2 or 3 games. He literally extracted everything that was there. He had 3 1,000-yard receivers with Teddy Bridgewater as the quarterback. Yeah. And then you had Mike Davis, who got over 1,000 all-purpose yards in Christian McCaffrey's, absence. So I feel like he did a good job of extracting all of the talent that he could possibly extract out of that squad. They just couldn't finish games. That's how I look at it.
Which is part of people getting used to each other. People getting used to each other. People getting used to his coaching style. He said something at the Senior Bowl that I really, really did like. He seems like a guy that I could see people getting hyped to play for. I just thought he looked weird. He looks like an adult little person. And
is it the
like, I don't know, I don't know why.
Smock.
I think it's that. Yeah, it's just
probably the smock.
So, but again. So we'll see how that works. Let's backtrack real quick because we got into all of that, talking about the combine, how much we missed the combine. Let's talk about the recent event that we just covered, being the Super Bowl. So this was my first Super Bowl. What is Media Row normally like? Because I was highly disappointed going into Bowls Town. I thought I was going to see like a bustling room and
normally any other year, that's what you would see. You would see entertainers, athletes of all, from all different areas of sports, former athletes, movie stars, singers, that's what you would normally see around Radio Row, and just going from table to table. Their publicist saying, "Oh, do you want to?" Like it's literally nonstop. Like once you go into Radio Row, don't have anything to do that day, because you kind of got to get in where you fit in. Unless you have pre-scheduled interviews, you got to grab people when they're walking, or have a runner out there that's going to grab people like, "Hey, can you come over and talk for a few minutes? Got 5 minutes? Got 5 minutes." But last week, there were maybe 5 tables with Radio Row, maybe 6. They're very, very well spread out. The NFL did not send players. I'm pretty sure that is more of a liability issue. And they credentialed way less people. So a lot less people were making, arrangements for their clients to be there. So that was, you have to, I don't even know how long it's going to take for things to get back to normal after COVID, but that was, I don't even know what word to use to compare it to what it's normally like. It was just so starkly different. Like so starkly different. It's usually you can't really see the table 2 tables down from you because there's so many people in between. So it's usually hustling and bustling. And this year it just wasn't. That's about the best description I can give for
Something else that was different. Something else that was different from the combine experience was the food experience. Even though I think you told me eventually that I missed it, and I will say this. Shout out to the city of Tampa for that $45 gift card. It did come in handy. Did use it, but I was expecting that the one thing the combine did have at lunch was I like sandwiches. I like cold cuts, and they had like this food. It was just, I could go up there and get whatever I wanted, and if nothing else, there was water around the clock. But they did have a nice little station with the shrimps and all this other stuff, but it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. They kind of neglected us, but I guess they said it wasn't going to be nothing but 6 of us up in there.
Yeah, like it's 10 people in here.
It didn't really matter.
So, man, it's 10 people in here. We're not about to play with these folks.
One thing that Tampa didn't disappoint though was the nightlife, and this is what I was telling people back and forth. I was like, while Media Row or Radio Row probably will never go back to what it used to be, the entertainment and what you do at night is really where you get a chance to interact and meet people.
Right.
Because we got a chance to see some of everybody, some of it being people that I just knew or that I've chopped it up, some of the people that you knew from covering the NFL over and over again. It was exciting. Again, Sheena said that I'm a Pandora's box of mixed bag. Hanging out with Sheena for a week, you can get shot. You can meet heavyweight champion boxers. You can meet the who's who. You can meet, and that's all one night.
Listen, that wasn't one night, wasn't it?
No,
man,
I didn't meet.
I left for the day.
Did all that? Anyways, it happened back to back.
Man, I left Radio Row on Thursday and went to the Sisters in Sports event. So shout out to those ladies. They did a really good job with that event. We did take a picture. I'm going to post it later. We were basically the sisters of the NFC South because one girl works with the Falcons. The other works with Tampa Bay. And so, so we go from there to this screening. James, you want to talk about the screening? I want to hear your portrayal of the screening. Sure I'm going to let you talk about the screening. Because I want to hear what you got to say.
So red carpet events are typically very well run, very classy, high end. You have some champagne, you have hors d'oeuvres, you have different things like that. We were going to see a private screening of, I can't remember the name of the film, but it was on Revolt TV. But it's about basically the summer of unrest and how entertainers and normal people, about how everybody came together to see change. And so it was supposed to start at 7. So I got there and there was nobody there. There was no carpet. There was no red carpet down that was put down. And
I was fashionably late. I was fashionably late to that. But James held it down until I got there, which was comical. And it just set off a crazy night that we were not expecting at all. So that's why I wanted to let him give you guys the rundown, because everything's funnier when James is talking. Everything's funnier when James is
the actual door. Oh yeah, go ahead, get your shoes. My bad. Yeah, so definitely. So again, nobody was there. It was just us. No carpet, no nothing. Lady have no idea where you go. I'm walking into a movie theater and trying to figure out like where I'm going. Mind you, I haven't just walked into a movie theater since I was a kid when I was just trying to sneak into a movie. So they just let me walk in, and then the lady says the way we were dressed, she's like, "Oh, you must be here for the red carpet." Okay, me too. Like you just go inside and sit down into the movie theater. I'm like, but I want to take it. I've take a picture on the
I'm
red
just down
carpet.
for the red
I have
carpet.
on a nice suit. I need to, yeah, I need to take a picture. And so anyways, nothing happened. So I'm like, okay, I go sit down. Then I'm like, well, I'm hungry, so I'm gonna give you some food. So I got me a hot dog, popcorn, which they end up giving us popcorn, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Then I go sit down, and I'm like, then they finally pull out the red carpet while I'm waiting, and the red carpet is dirty. Like that was the craziest part to me. Why is the red carpet dirty? It should be vacuumed. It should be the carpet should be
I don't think I've
ready
ever
and
seen a dirty
prepared.
red carpet.
So this is at 7, and it's supposed to start. It's supposed to start at 7, and they're bringing up the red carpet. They're not prepared. Then when we come in, she's like, "Hey, would you like some popcorn? Would you like some popcorn?" I'm like, "I already bought some popcorn, but you're gonna give me my free popcorn too." So I'm like, "Whatever, we're doing that." I come down. They got the red carpet. Somebody's talking. They got some other media. I don't really know what I'm supposed to be doing there because my but technically my boss for that weekend did not inform me what we were even really doing. That person being Sheena Quick. So we get there, and the guy is very Atlanta, but he's from New York. But has a very Atlanta flair.
Oh, I would
Take for
have
that
guessed
what you want to
Atlanta
take from
too. I would have guessed Atlanta. He was very
it.
Atlanta.
Yeah,
He was.
take for that for what you want. If you know about Atlanta, he comes in and I have a guest, and he takes a picture with my guest, and they're like, "I want to take a picture on the red carpet," so they take a picture with my guest. And I'm like, "Cool." Then I'm like, "I'm gonna take a picture,"
Wait, you
and then he
have red
moves out the
carpet
way,
photos?
and he just
See,
he said,
James holding out,
"Yeah,
y'all. I didn't know he
I
had
have
red carpet
with the."
photos.
But yeah, because then this is part of my rant on the sports thing, which I kind of want to get to, but I'm not because I'm tired of talking about it. But I'm still insecure about it. I thought I was looking good, but I have my thing. I sent it to my sister and my mom. It's my sister tells me, and the only way a sibling can tell you, she's like, "You look like a Black History fact right now," because the poster was in black and white.
That's hilarious.
So I go in there. I'm I have my chicken tenders now. I'm eating my chicken tenders with my feet up, waiting. It's 8 o'clock now. The thing was supposed to start at 7. Nobody's there yet. People are still trying to phone in. Sheena finally gets there like 8:30 or whatever with her crew. Oh crap! Can you pull them in, Trey? Hold on, my dang dog. Give me a second. My dog got in the house. Come here, girl. I got it. Good job, Trey. My bad. I guess I could have telling you the story. Anyways, so he, you guys finally get about 8:30, and then we get there, and they finally start shooting the movie. They start playing the movie, but you would think a movie gets played in the projector, right? This man is playing the movie from a laptop with no Wi-Fi, with no good Wi-Fi connection. We get 5 minutes into it, and we start seeing that circle, and
That circle will get you,
they're trying
boy.
to get ready.
That buffering
They're
to
trying to
get you.
get it ready. I'm sitting here like, man, I want to go to my dog, and I'm gonna give him a shout out. I want to go to Ken Hamlin's event at damn Davidoff. I want to go smoke a cigar and have a drink. So I'm like, let's get out of here. We get out of there, and what makes it funny is we left early.
The exit was
The same
funny.
people do the event. Yeah, we just bounced. Like we bounced.
I look back at
Try
James. I
not
was
to be
like,
loud about it. I think we were louder.
James, I'm ready to go. And we tried to do it the one person at a time so it wouldn't be obvious, but yeah, we bounced.
Yeah, so we bounced, and then the same group is the one who did the event the next day. So My face
But it
was like,
it was like night and day.
it was night and day though. Night and day.
It was night
Night
and
and
day.
day. I
They
told
did a good
people I
job
saw
at the Power of Influence Awards.
they took a storage unit, outdoor storage unit, and turned it into like a really legit like venue. It was dope. I
Wait, is
couldn't
that what
believe
that
it. I
was?
thought I was very shocked.
That's what that was?
That was a storage unit. It was outdoor storage unit. Like yes, it was. They had orange lock. Like you could like somebody could, but it was cool.
See,
Now
that's how
that one
non-observant I
actually had
am.
celebrities.
Yeah, that's how non-observant I am. I didn't even
Yeah.
notice. I
So
was just there.
part of the way I grew up, just part of that is just I'm always observing my surroundings. Matter of fact, I just saw a great IG little short video with I forgot that little they do those videos. A man's walking somebody to the car, hears pop pop pop. He's like, man, ain't nothing, girl. They just shoot. You ain't get hit. Ain't no need to duck. It ain't
That's
hit
gonna
you.
take you into the
Talking about
next
it.
part of this story, huh?
No, I'm saying that was me walking. That was me walking away from seventh from Seventh and Grove. Was me just walking on the side. But then I
What?
was like, oh crap. Then I had to think. I was like, holy crap, she'd have ended up back there. So like, make sure that they straight. I knew I was good. I didn't get hit, but Ebor was wild. But the whole point in all of that was besides getting into having to entertain friends who want to go out and have more of an experience who aren't
Man, I
there
was
for
so
work.
mad. I was so mad. Listen, I'm ducked off by
So
the U-Haul truck furious. I was like, man, I can't die on at 7th and Grove. Not today. Yeah, I
right.
was traumatized, man.
The one thing I never want to do, I don't want to die sleepy. Because if I die sleepy,
What?
that means that I wasn't supposed to be there because I was tired. I was falling asleep in class.
We
It's
were
everything,
supposed to
bro.
be there, but see, I will tell you guys this now. We were very responsible throughout the week, and it did start getting thick, and we were like, nah, it's time to go. No, sorry. But yeah, I was like, no, it's time to go. So, I had been ready. James and I and one of my friends had been ready to go a smooth 30 to 45 minutes before that shooting, which made me even madder. It made me madder because we were supposed to be gone. And the crazy thing is I hear the pop pop and there's people waiting to get in VIP through the back of 7th and Grove. And I'm looking like, was that a car backfiring? Because no one was alarmed. One guy was like, you look scared. You want me to hold you? And I was like, what? But no one was alarmed. And then we look over and we see Buddy laying on the ground. And it's like, whoa. Then it turned into like a scene out of Grand Theft Auto. You see the cops, they're shooting at the cars. And I'm just like, I'm not supposed to die here tonight. Why am I here? Because you couldn't tell where the bullets were coming from. That's the thing that was
why when
scary.
you hear
You
it, you
couldn't
just
tell
gotta
where it was coming from. But see, yeah, that was God telling me.
drop.
That was God telling me, stay in your lane. Cigar lounges that's your only venue. That's your only move. The rest of the time you're here. So actually, that was our only move. The rest of the time we were there.
Yeah. What's funny is that Friday night when we went to the next event where I guess they learned my boy Peter Ward. Shout out to the GOAT, possibly the greatest greatest, in my opinion, greatest or most exciting and electrifying college football wide receiver of all time. Had his show or had his event with Young Jeezy. And this is how I know I don't necessarily believe in church and all that other stuff, but I know that God because that God prevented me from even knowing Dub was in town because we would have got together and it would have been crazy. Because when me and Dub get together, it's a vibe. It's a vibe in of itself. And to know I'm a big Jeezy fan, like Jeezy is my guy, so I know that would have been good. And one of your friends would have probably had a sensory overload with
I ain't even doing it with you.
with Jeezy. So
I plead the fifth.
one thing I did learn from my first year covering the NFL is the NFL experience in of itself is a really dope thing. So if the Super Bowl is ever in your area, you're not going to be able to probably go to any of the stuff that we get a chance to go to. But the way the NFL experience is set up, a lot of the energy that goes in the city, if that alone is worth it, I really do wish I would have been able to bring my boys down so that they could have just experienced that.
Yeah.
And you get a chance to see a lot of the other different things that go on. They do a really good job for the most part putting that together. even though I got a chance to finally see it, even though they sent us all around the world to get to right back where we were at. Like trying to
Boy,
find the NFL experience.
listen, and we over here just contemplating life like, yo, we're two former athletes and we are huffing and puffing out here looking for this experience. But then we got to see, we got to have lunch with Hallback. We got to have lunch with Hallback. So that was good.
That was good. And he sent, and shout out to Rob Hallback. I've never eaten at a place that fancy before in my life. That was amazing. Like I don't think I've ever had a chicken burger before, but it was delicious.
I don't know, but it looked
the way
good.
They described it.
It looked good.
I'm actually craving one.
It looked good.
That I drank, I think, is the reason why I couldn't go to sleep. Like, and I drink.
Oh, that night, right? You couldn't sleep. That's right.
That nitro coffee. I'm like, I'm awake. I can't go to sleep. So I literally got on the road and drove back and then coached a football game like at 9 a.m. like that morning. So
wait, without going, so you didn't get anywhere.
The experience was dope. I got like an hour.
Oh, okay.
Like as soon as I really saw the back of my eyelids, it was time to get up and go. So that's what we did. That's the cool thing is as we're doing this podcast, hopefully weekly or however much we need to do it. If we get an opportunity to do another event, we're going to talk about that event, things that we got to do in that event, and you're going to be able to not only get informed about what's going on with sports, but you're going to get to experience a party in a life without even having to leave your front door, without having an experience being shot at. Imagine how fun that is. It's like listening to a Spot 'em Got 'em record. You get a chance to be a goon and shoot people, but you ain't got to worry about the gun. So that's cool. I had to shout out my city. I had to shout out Duval. With that Spot 'em Got 'em. So we talked about the Super Bowl. We talked about our respective teams. We've talked about these things, but the cool thing is with being a sports journalist, being an African-American sports journalist, being a female sports journalist, you get a chance to be a first or a few in very many arenas. One of the cool things that I think is dope is that you cover NASCAR. And so tell us about what's going on with you in NASCAR.
Well, NASCAR is fun. And I know when they banned the Confederate flag, everybody was like, oh, it's about time. But there's a side of NASCAR that has been trying to increase diversity that they've kind of been doing behind the scenes. And it's not going to happen overnight. Like racism is rooted in the very fibers of NASCAR. It's very difficult to get in. There's huge barriers to entry. But one of the most known names is Bubba Wallace. Everyone knows who Bubba Wallace is. Shout out to him. He topped the Daytona 500 practice in his first appearance for the Michael Jordan team. You guys will get to catch him tomorrow at 2:30. The Daytona 500 is going down. But prior to the race, you guys are going to get to see a snippet from a docuseries called The Brotherhood of NASCAR. Now, I had a chance to speak with 5 guys that work with the Chip Ganassi racing team. I got a chance to speak with them on Monday just to kind of talk about the series and what they hope to accomplish. All 5 of them are former football players. Most have a little bit of NFL experience. One guy was from Clemson. And so, he won a couple championships with Clemson and found himself in NASCAR. When football didn't work out, they found themselves on pit crews for NASCAR. And so I just kind of talked to them about it and their experience and, how much more important it is for them to bond because there's not a lot of people that look like them in the sport of NASCAR. But you guys will get to check that out. That docuseries is actually already available on Fox Sports. They started streaming it on the 8th, but you will see it ahead of tomorrow's race. I'm really excited for it. I do a lot of work with NASCAR's Drive for Diversity. They do a good job of including me. Anything that comes up where there's an opportunity to showcase that program and the guys that have gone through it, they make sure that they call me. And I love that because I've actually missed their initial availability and they took time out on Monday because they knew I was covering the Super Bowl and they gave me an exclusive, 30 minutes of their time, which is a lot. But one of the things that one of the guys said was, we want everyone to know that Bubba Wallace is not the only Black person in NASCAR and that diversity in NASCAR is not a trend. This is something that we are working towards. We have been working towards it and will continue to work towards. So it's a pretty cool docuseries. And I think that it helps our generation because, a lot of people weren't paying attention to NASCAR. I really wasn't. Before 2016, I wasn't paying attention to NASCAR. I mean, I knew the bigger names because you see them on commercials and things like that. But I had never even thought about going to a race. And now I go to every summer and every fall race with my boys. I mean, I'm sorry, every spring and then every fall race. And I take my kids and they love it. They're backstage on pit road, not backstage. I'm sorry. They're behind the scenes on pit road. They're getting to see the trailers, now what they do for children and the children of the drivers, they have this space on the infield where they do like Bible study, and they don't look at the race because this is a very dangerous sport. So they have little activities that they do, and then I finish work and I go grab my kids and I leave. And I don't feel unsafe, but I could understand how somebody would have that connotation or that predilection coming to a NASCAR race. So hopefully this docuseries just, opens up a new demographic, so to speak, and can, drum up some interest among, African American, or just not even just African American, minority kids that have an interest in racing but don't know what quite to do or where to start. So again, that you guys can check that out before the race tomorrow. The race is at 2:30, and that is going to be on Fox Sports.
And I think a lot of education on what the sport actually is and those things,
Yeah.
and being able to compare it to things that African Americans actually really like, or people in general. Like one of my favorite sports to coach or now cover, because I know a lot of guys who are in it, is lacrosse. And what happens is you
Nice.
just turn on a lacrosse game, you just see a bunch of people running around with a stick trying to hit each other. But if you can, but creating parallels to football, basketball, which is really what a lot of hockey, what a lot of this stuff is, it kind of helps people get more interested in learning. Another name that's really good that from on an African American woman's side, on a minority woman's side, is Brianna Daniels, who actually bought 2 shirts from her.
I love her.
She was also on the Rock show. Man, I forgot the name of it. Not American Ninja Warrior, but whatever the thing is, it's kind of like his thing, and it's like it reminded me of American Gladiators.
Yeah, I don't even know how I left Brianna off. And that's the thing though. I knew nothing about I didn't know that they have a combine. They have a combine for the pit crew, and that's where I met her. When I met her, she was that was literally my very first sports media assignment. And I was like, "You want me to go where and do what? NASCAR?" Like what? So I go, and it's held at the Research and Development Center in Concord here. So I go, I'm like, I don't know what I'm driving into. And I see all these Black former college athletes. I meet Brianna, and she draws you to her. You could tell that out of that class, she was just different. She was fresh off playing basketball at Norfolk State. She was crushing it. I mean, they have all these speed and agility and strength and stamina exercises and stations that they go. I mean, it's a true combine. And I wish they would televise it. It's a real true combine. They have testing and all types of stuff. And I've always been a big fan of her since the very first day I saw her. Like, she took to getting the lug nuts off and getting that tire up. I mean, it was like lickety split. So she did end up being the first African-American female tire changer in NASCAR history, and her star just keeps climbing. She's actually pitting tomorrow. She's pitting tomorrow in the race. So make sure you guys catch her. Phenomenal person, super mature, super dedicated. And she's breaking down barriers. Like I've literally have learned NASCAR with her. She was like, "Oh, they came to my school and they were like, 'Hey, you want to be in a combine?' We were like, 'Okay, cool.'" Because they go through to all of these different colleges throughout the country, and they recruit. So you have to be invited to even participate in the combine. From there, you have to be selected into the actual class, and from there, you have to get hired. All of that happened for her in less than a year.
Oh wow!
Didn't know anything about NASCAR. All of that happened for her within a year.
I had no clue that. I just know when they said she Black and she's in NASCAR, and her name was Bree, and I had a whole bunch of people like, I was like, "Yo, we calling her Bree," and y'all, and she was putting her shirt out. She was like, she had a T-shirt. It was like $20, $30. Like, whatever. Hey, y'all, Bree say buy her shirt. We're gonna go buy her shirt. They were like, "You know her?" I was like, "No, I have no idea who she is." But
it's actually really dope.
It was also off the heels of a lot of the stuff with that was happening with Bubba. So people who know me, like, it was. I promise, this is how it was. We were talking about Daytona or talking about something, and I'm just like, I'm doing one of my all right, whatever. I'm gonna let these guys talk, and they'll eventually get back to me and talk about something I
The
care about.
subject is
And
something
they're
I
like,
care
"Have you
about,
seen
right?
the black NASCAR driver?" I'm like, huh? There's a black NASCAR driver? They're like, his name is Bubba. I said, shut up. And I was like, not no name like Bubba. We don't name our kids Bubba. And I start typing and I look up. I was like, okay. I was like, this is Russell Wilson. They're like, no, that's not Russell Wilson. That's his name. But I said, no, dude, this guy looks like Russell Wilson. Are we sure? Have we ever seen him and Russell Wilson in the same room at the same time? And then I started watching. I was like, you know what? And then he actually did well. Then he kind of ain't really been doing good. But to see him finish that way and to see him get picked up by the Jordan brand, I'm just looking for some fly gear. Because if
So
Bubba balling and Bubba got some sweet gear, I'm rocking the Bubba Wallace old school NASCAR jacket like like it's 1999 2000.
listen, and that's the thing, man. Look, not for nothing. Black people push the culture. Like we weren't even comfortable going to games. Like that was not a sport for us, but we were rocking sports, rocking race car jackets. What did Bootsy say? The race car jacket with about 80 patches. No, but
Right.
real skill though, Bubba Wallace. I know this is a really long podcast, guys. Just bear with us. All this is entertaining, I promise. So Bubba Wallace, ahead of him becoming the full-time driver for the Richard Petty car, the number 43 car. Like I said, when there's opportunities like that, they'll actually directly call me. They say, "Hey, you want to come out to the NASCAR Hall of Fame and interview Bubba?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And the NASCAR Hall of Fame is 20 minutes from my house. It's right here in Charlotte, downtown, well, uptown Charlotte. And it was on the heels of the flag and what had gone on with Colin Kaepernick. Richard Petty had said that, he wasn't going to tolerate not standing for the flag. And I thought that was a pretty precarious position for Bubba to be in. Like, you are a black man. You're only the second full-time driver. That was since 1970s. That was Wendell Scott. And your boss is telling you, look, I know what they're doing over there, but don't bring that over here. And I asked him, I'm like, how does that, affect you or how you approach things? And at the time he gave me a very all lives matter type of statement. He said, the only flag I'm worried about is the checkered flag. So to see him kind of evolve and grow to where he was comfortable using his voice, you have to understand where he started. And it's a part of playing the long game. I get it. He wanted to be politically correct. So that's why for me this summer, when I saw him like speak up, I said, okay. And so it seems like he's found his voice and he's comfortable now and he's confident in saying what he wants to say. It's not to say that he didn't feel that way back then, but he didn't say it. He didn't say it. But now he's comfortable. And I have to wonder, though,
that we're all in.
But I have to wonder, was that part of the reason that he's no longer with Richard Petty Motorsports? Because when we saw that he went with Jordan, we were like, yeah, that's what's up. Jump man. But to me, my mind goes to, did he talk too much?
Well,
who knows?
That also goes to you can't be canceled. There's no
You
such
can't
thing
be
as cancel
canceled.
culture.
It's always somebody else is gonna take it. Y'all been trying to cancel B. Simone for like 2 years. And she's still thriving.
Man, they really been trying to cancel her.
They've been trying hard to cancel B. Simone. Every couple months, they're like,
you got to be persistent.
Yeah, she's consistently herself. I'll give her that. And the opportunities keep rolling in for her. So if she like it, I love it.
But even to go what you were talking about with Bubba, and I know you have to deal with that in the same field as being a man, being outspoken. It's not even about being African American and not making it that, because I'm sure it's like that with other places. But knowing that people, like, it's going to be whatever you say that's counter to what the status quo is going to be such a true attack and vitriol, and people are going to try to attack your livelihood, is a scary thing. And it's easier to take the path of least resistance, which is why it's easy to respect guys like Bubba Wallace, or even on a larger scale. A lot of people may not like how he did his career, but you have to respect a LeBron James for always being outspoken and also not being afraid to admit when you're wrong or when you maybe overstep or overcorrect. It's why I tell people the standard is the standard. No matter what you want to do, if you're always achieving the standard, you get an opportunity, you get a platform to be able to say whatever the hell it is that you want to say, the way you want to say it, and you'll not be dealt with. If there's no greater proof that you can get away with saying damn near whatever you want to say, as long as you can back it up, is on 45. So I mean, whether you agree with them or not, our past president talked a lot of shit and was able to get away with a lot of things. But
I just
he
saw
was the
that they
president,
acquitted
so he
him.
did it.
He was acquitted in the
Yeah,
impeachment trial.
that wasn't. Yeah, I don't even understand why they even brought that up. But that's a whole nother podcast and a whole nother thing with that. But we ran along. What we're gonna do is with this is the intro. We're gonna chop it up into a couple pieces. We're gonna try to do this more consistently. Probably try to keep it to where it's either two 15-minute pieces or one 30-minute thing to where it's more easily digestible. This was probably more radio broadcast than anything else, but it's
Yeah.
also to get reps as we continue to push things, especially if we know we have something coming forward. We may want you to come hang out with us and see what it's like to do some events. Any word on ATL or you don't know yet?
I don't know yet. You might be there by yourself, and I might do it virtually.
Okay.
You know,
Okay,
ATL,
shoot. If you can get me there,
they
I'll go.
never close. They never close. So
Nah, that's right. ATL is wild. They're wild. They're wild. They had wild, and that's what aren't they going to do one of the NCAA rounds in Atlanta?
probably because everything's open. I wouldn't doubt. I wouldn't be
Yes,
surprised.
that's- yeah, they're wilding a little bit with that. But what we'll do is we'll see what's going on. But either way, we want to talk about sports and entertainment, how those two things merge. I'm at Big Game James 36. That's at Sheena Quick, aka on the social medias at Sheena _Marie 3. Appreciate you guys kicking it with us. We'll talk to you later.